like I say, 2 out of 3 out of 5 board members or something like that. Basically, I was basically I was like their golden person, or basically the person that they were going to slowly overthrow or whatever. And then, like I said, they were starting to build up explosives. Like that one guy had been running those explosives for like over a year or something like that, and they had been waging war. And basically, we had traced it back to something or other, blah blah. And basically, I ended that shipment to give people a breathing room or something like that. Like I forget exactly what happened, if it was a hijacking or anyway though, basically I was heavily involved in that maneuver, pretty much. And 2 of them, basically. A few times they were trying to get explosives and basically I stopped them. I was like, you're not going to kill anyone with my explosives. Like I was the number one producer of explosives. I was the number one producer of ammonium nitrate. I was the number one producer of cyanide. I was, like I said, if you bought a ship between 1700 or 1200, like I say, shut the fuck up. If you bought a ship between 1200 and 17 or 1800, you bought an LS ship. You just might not have known it. Like I said, go back to the crystal museums and look at that picture with all those ships on that table with the table with the elephants. 15,000 ship types, and for every ship type there were at least 10 or 20 or 50 ships built. Those were my ships. That's why they were on that table. Those were all the ships that I or my people designed. That's how big. You know how they say Helena Troy launched 1,000 ships? She was launching my ships. I chose Helena Troy. She was a gorgeous girl, and basically I chose her as a gorgeous girl to basically launch my ships. So, she was the one. She was just banging champagne. That's how busy those shipyards were. So, anyway, there were 3 or 4 or 5 shipyards there. They only launched like 100-foot to 200-foot ships though. They weren't that big. And then later on we were doing 300-foot ships, and then later on we were doing 600-foot ships. And then I had the Leviathan class, which was 950-foot ship, which was something that they deemed was impossible. There'll never be a ship that big. And like I said, people would look at my ships in awe. Like 60 or 80 or 90 foot high, 100 foot across, 950 foot long, made of riveted steel. Later on, we were welding steel together. So because one day I thought, you know what, we should be able to bond these things together. And like I say, and then there was the zappy currents. Like I said, spot welding, me. I was like, well, theoretically, if you apply a heat source and maybe some of this power, because we had the arc current, the arc lights, and I was like, you know what, wouldn't that be enough to weld 2 pieces of metal together? And that's when they were like, well, let's try it out. So they started messing around with it, and they were like, well, yeah, but it needs a coating. So I was like, well, I guess can't we, I don't know, paint on a coat, sign, put a coating under there or whatever it needs to be. So like some flux or something, I don't know. I was like, I don't know. I'm not, but I mean, I was the one who was like, let's do this, and then later on it was like, well, you don't really have to get the whole piece of metal hot, so I mean, welding, I didn't know about the gas or the 2 metallurgies and stuff like that, but that's why I have metallurgists, at the time. But I mean, I was the one directing all this stuff. They were my shipyards. And my people, they were coming up with things. I was coming up with things. They were doing metallurgy. They were doing the building and the plans. I had the plan idea of using a plan and having everything built at separate places and then shipped. Like I said, there's no I in team. And there was no I. Like I said, sometimes the people were alcoholics. Sometimes my people were blind. Some of my best people were blind. Some of my best people couldn't see unless they had glasses. So my people were deaf in one ear, or deaf in both ears. Some of my people only had one leg. Like I said, there was a guy one time that lost a leg, and he wanted a job or he wanted to work. And I was like, okay, well, give him a position where he sits down all day or something. So, I mean, like I said, that was LS. That was Lucifer Star, was a shipyard where you had a bunch of cripples walking around. It's like, I hired cripples. It's like, well, they're good for something. I mean, they can still do something for me. I don't know, punch holes. So, I mean, I had people that would find jobs for people who were handicapped. It's like, well, there's got to be something they can do, and then maybe not. Oh well, maybe maybe just sit in the corner and drool. Keep that stool there. Anyway, I mean, it's a family, it's a community. It wasn't just we are LS, the perfect people that the women lose their clothes over. It's like we weren't like that. We're LS. Sometimes some of us are crippled, some of us only have one hand. Some of us have no hands because someone else chopped them off. Some of us had, some of us don't have any hair. We're a ragtag group. That's why I like that one captain and the Halifax thing. Like, he had this young kid, he had this older guy, he was a guy that, he didn't have any formal training or something. I had people that didn't have any formal training, but they grew up around ships. I was like, oh, good enough. And sometimes some people were just like the people that they'd always seen my ships on the horizon or my ships in the ocean, and like they'd always wanted to run a tug or something like that. And then they worked their way up. There are a lot of people that work their way up. They start out as coal shovelers. And then, like I said, I had advancement. You could do advancement through learning. You could be trained to do a different job. So, some people start out as journeymen shoveling or sweeping the floor. And then, like 10 years later, they're, running the yard being like, hey, over there, and because they work with people really well. And sometimes people are like, yeah, I got the drugs. It's like, okay, you're hired. And sometimes some of them are like, yeah, we're smugglers. I'm a smuggler. Yeah. Shh, don't tell anyone. So sometimes like some of the people that work for me were smugglers. And it's like, yeah, well, they smuggle it through the borders. I mean, we're a ragtag group. It's LS. It's Lucifer Star. Society. Some people are like, yeah, we're good at killing. It's like, put that down. Try to be honorable. So sometimes some people were just, they're not good people. Like sometimes some of my people were like, we're not good people. It's like, well, try to try to kill the right bad people then. It's like, can you kill bad people then? It's like, well, anyway, yeah. I mean, sometimes some people like the only thing they were good at was killing. So, they hunted animals, they hunted down people. I mean, like I say, I wasn't exactly, I'm Lucifer Star, creator of drugs, nuclear bombs. Like, I'm very much just like my people. We're made up of different groups. Sometimes Indians. And sometimes I have to make those decisions. Like, okay, the Indians are being hunted. I don't give them guns. They get hunted into extinction and die. They used to work for me, but whatever. Now they might be raping women, that are living inside my towns. It's like, all right, well, that's not all the Indians though. So do I give them guns and maybe now they shoot people in the towns and become a bigger problem, or do I let them die? And and then that's where basically I make a decision where it's like, okay, we're going to try and give the guns to the right tribe. And stuff like that. It's a balancing act. It's like, I always have to ask. And then these decisions that I make are basically influence your existence. These are what made up your existence. Me making these decisions. If I hadn't made the decision to give guns to the Indians, they would have been hunted to extinction and they'd be dead. And they'd be gone forever. And maybe no one would even notice or care. But I would remember. I remember that moment when I could have saved them. So I made that hard call. I was like, all right, we're going to give them guns, or else they're going to be hunted into extinction. And then, the Indians are going up against my military men. So now I've betrayed both sides in some ways. So it's like, yeah, but that military man might not be the guy you think. And basically, that wasn't what you told him to do. So anyway, it's a hard choice sometimes. It's a hard choice of, is this person lying to me? Is that person lying to me? I do this, they all die. Women and children. Anyway, I mean, it's a hard thing. It's not easy. And it's like, it's your past.